Sometimes less is more. Such was the case down on the Florida East Coast as Train 105 split Ormond's National Gardens Park right down the middle. Between personal nostalgia, corporate culture, and everything in between, the Florida East Coast Railway has always been my favorite railroad and will likely hold that title well into the future. There's really nothing to write home about this train other than the new Grupo Mexico LNG tender, although it was still an awesome catch in my eyes. My family and I were returning from a beach day and pulled off along US 1 only about 5 minutes prior, and the FEC delivered. We're at the south end of the Harwood Pass Track, one of the last rural places one can find FEC before the rails venture into a 260-mile-long beachside suburban sprawl. Nothing quite beats train watching with the family, and we had gathered a couple months prior in Burlington, Vermont to do just that. Nah, I'm kidding, but of course there was time made for a train. We met in the Green Mountain State to attend an athletic event of my sister's, conveniently timed during the region's peak in fall colors. The scenery was breathtaking. Downtown Burlington is super cool, with a nice walking trail skirting alongside Lake Champlain. If you turn around, you'll find the Vermont Railway pretty convenient for someone like me. We happened upon this switch job by complete luck while walking alongside America's 13th largest lake. I thought it was just the coolest thing how the main line paralleled the trail and lakeside. This is looking south as the GATX switcher is shuffling tank cars in the yard. The railroad had some neat rolling stock on display this morning as well, with GP40-2LW number 311 a nice centerpiece in a special anniversary paint scheme. The railroad continued to please as our walk back downtown was interrupted yet again by 318 from across the lake. The Vermont Railway is one of the Vermont Rail System's 6 subsidiaries, whose small yard in Burlington serves as the north end of freight operations for the system. Another subsidiary is the Green Mountain Railroad, hosting passenger excursions on behalf of the parent company. Yet another GATX EMD was on scene, this time in the form of GP 38-2 number 2687. It was quite a pleasant surprise, as I had no idea the railroad even ran passenger trains up until pulling up on this one. It was certainly a neat find, accentuated well by the vibrant life of downtown Burley. I'd seen pictures and videos of the Vermont rail system my whole life and was quite pleased to have personally railfanned it, especially with the family. Fast forward another couple of months and I was back home in Florida for some time in New Smyrna, one of the places my love for the railroad was ignited. Out to pick up dinner, I convinced the sister to swing by FEC's New Smyrna yard, to which we found the classic LNG GEVO set holding the pass track. FEC has undergone a complete redo of their train symboling system since I've moved away, and I have no clue what this train's new identity might be. I'll always know the evening northbound as Train 202, a beast of a train hauling everything from shipping containers to rock hoppers north out of Miami for Jacksonville. I've seen 202 too many times to count. The earliest occasion I recall was with my dad back in 2012 in this very parking lot, back when EMDs still reigned the rails. The next morning, my dad and I were up early for another one and didn't get any further than the yard before a headlight lit up the high iron. No idea on this symbol either, although it used to be Train 218, northbound out of Port Everglades for NS and CSX in Jacksonville. We were out in hopes to see the old train number 226 crossing over Spruce Creek, a reliable weekday catch for the area. NSB is riddled with memorable locations for me, Spruce Creek being one of them. I couldn't count if I tried the number of trains the two of us have seen standing on these very rocks. This installation of 226 was actually on the day following our catch of 218, as we both got hungry while waiting at Spruce Creek, and sometimes not even a train is enough to hold us back from a good meal. I couldn't visit town without a train at Spruce Creek, however, and was pleased to be back the following morning. This train, much like every other on the East Coast, is an anything-goes movement, gathering up all outbounds and putting them behind the same set of locomotives, what precision scheduled railroading is truly about. Back when I was a regular in these parts, 226 was known to drop rock hoppers in New Smyrna, although this morning's train stormed right through town with a solid consist of intermodal for Jacksonville. Lucky it did, too, as Mother Nature was brewing a storm of her own right behind me, and the old 226 made it by with only a couple minutes to spare before the downpour ensued. Things let up just long enough for me to sneak back over to the yard in time to see the weekday locals starting their work with a shove south to Tarmac. Although I've seen my fair share of this train too, today's movement was of particular interest as GP38-2 number 508 still wore the classic Hurricane logo on the long hood, something I'd only seen once before. It even appeared as if 508's cab had been redone, so I figured one more roll-by outside tarmac wouldn't hurt, for investigative purposes of course. The skies had opened back up by the time I was on scene, although it was getting time to head back to the condo anyway, and I'm always down to watch a good storm from the patio. Growing up, I took family outings for granted, and am now looking back with nothing but fond memories, especially when visiting locations such as the FEC. Thanks for railfanning with me today. I hope you enjoyed this quick look into some fun, impromptu outings as much as I did.